Hello and welcome to the third episode of Life After Death podcast powered by FooDo. In this episode, we have Pooja and Kashyap with us here. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Pooja Halvawala. I come from Surat, Gujarat in India. I came to the Netherlands to study civil engineering, specialized in environmental engineering and technology. I came here in 2017 and graduated in 2019. Currently, I'm working as a water technologist in R&D department at Lentech.
Kashyap.
Hi. My name is Maruthi Kashyap. Like Pooja, I also did the TU Delft master degrees from 2017 to 2019. The stream that I chose was management of technology. I currently work in the finance department of ING, or more specifically, Nationale Nederlanden. And I come from Hyderabad, India.
So yeah, let's begin with like the more I don't want to say neglected, but like people don't really talk about it so much. The personal side of Delft, the social and the friends circle that you have. Did you guys know somebody before you came here?
Not really. I just graduated my bachelor's in June, and then I had to start my master's in August. So the time frame was very small to actually know people, and none of the people in my university also joined in the same batch. But what really helped was the TU Delft meetups before coming in with people from the same city. So talking to them, understanding how life can be there, and preparing for the life here. So that made it a little easier. And also for a fact that I think majority of us also faces the housing problem. So it was also back in the day in 2017 where we were asked to find our own housing. So there was,
It's the same case
yeah.
now. So.
So there was a very big group of about 300 people on WhatsApp called as Delft homeless people. So I think this really helped us bond, because finding housing together really helped us know each other and then figure things out collectively. So apart from this, I never knew anyone coming here.
And how did you end up with like your friends group? I know you both like met here and became friends.
So like the story goes similarly that people meeting from the same state or from the same city had different groups, whether it's homeless people or just for the meetup. And that's where I met a lot of Guju people.
Okay.
And I was meeting them. That was the only one time I met them, and also the first time that I met them. And in the Guju people, he was the one who was non-Guju but still Guju. So, of course, I did not meet him before coming to Delft, but because of the housing, he was sharing houses with a lot of people that I met. So that's how I came in contact with him. But yeah, it's a bit non-conventional way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like as friends, what was like the most favorite activity or something that you did as a group?
Well, when you're studying, you really don't have. Firstly, there's always financial crunches because you're a student and you cannot explore. You cannot do things when you're working. What we did was, I think we just cooked together quite often during the weekends and also during the festival season. That helped, and then doing these bike tours, riding the bike for a longer distance during summer. So these kind of commonalities really helped. And also, I think X, which is the sports center of Delft, really helped us bond, because there were a few sports that this group played. So some people played football, so we went there to watch them, or we played badminton together and things like that. So apart from this, I cannot remember of any great social activity.
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if I can add something. So, like you mentioned, that of course is one point. But if you want to get to know a lot of people, most of the time, if you're part of your dispute or if you're part of your association in your department, it really helps to either organize events or also attend events as a student during that year. So that's when you get to know a lot of common practice, like common things that you share with other people, and that's how you can bond and take it forward as friends.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think student associations are the best way.
Yeah.
Either sports-wise or something like dream teams you're working
Yes,
on.
yeah.
Exactly.
Some engineering things like the Formula student team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know time is a problem but I think
Yeah, but actually one nice point that I remember now is in Delft, there are a lot of assignments that you do individually and also in a group wise. So what I did actively was every assignment I tried to create a new group for me. So that also helped knowing people inside my class. And they eventually turned out to be friends also, apart from classmates. Yeah.
Okay. That's really good to know. That,
Yeah.
we have a lot of. There is a social life that you have.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
just
Yes.
that you have to study.
Yeah.
No.
And
Yeah.
this next question is targeted towards you, Pooja, because you've been working in an R&D position in a non-corporate
Yeah.
setup, and how is it like working in Lentech, and why did you choose this role, position, company?
Yeah. So first, why did I choose? It is pretty blank forward. So when I graduated in 2019 and then I started looking for jobs, COVID hit during that time. So it was very difficult to actually find jobs around that time. And specifically also given the fact come in from a service sector, having to know Dutch is also very important, and that was something was a bit on a weaker side for me. So that's why I had to look for international organizations which also work in English, and Lentech is one of them, which has almost 16 nationalities. So Dutch was not the primary thing. And on top of this, because of the networking during your masters, the coordinator or the R&D team that was going to form, I knew people there, and I could get my way through Lentech. That is how I could get my way through. And of course, over the years that I've worked, it's very nice that if you have the opportunity to work with in SMEs, because first, it's a bit of a closed knit. You kind of know almost everybody because it's a small company. Usually, you can connect better with your colleagues also outside your work hours and outside your work 9 to 5 timings. And the thing is, sometimes decisions can be super fast, and you have the flexibility to work on multiple things. So you are not really guided by strict job roles in a way, which can also be a bit of a disadvantage.
So I don't want to say, but it's something like a startup culture where small companies you have different. You can choose different positions. Like
Internally, yes.
Yeah.
You end up doing multiple tasks,
Yeah.
which in your growing years, it actually is an added advantage because it makes you learn a lot of things that perhaps in a organization or in a role where you only have to do a certain task is a bit difficult to explore other things.
Yeah.
So I think in general it's quite nice to work.
You mentioned that networking was how you found it. Like, was it set up within your department, or did you just go about by yourself?
No, so it was something by myself.
Okay.
During your courses, when you study, you get to know also a lot of PhDs, you get to know other master students, and if you take courses which are multidisciplinary, then you can also learn about people working in different departments, and that's how you can network and socialize. So this specific was my own interest and something that I picked up during my studies, so that is how I could know. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of a career trajectory, because you've worked for a few years in this company, what do you think is like the next step for you within the company or across different companies?
So for now, I do enjoy being in R&D, and I think my mind always governs towards like the research or is always attracted towards research. So I do enjoy it for now, but maybe in future I might want to explore the process engineering side of it. So I might try to look internally in the company for a position. And let's see how it works out.
So process engineering is more of implementing the project for the customers.
Yeah, exactly. So you try to make it more realistic, and then you work with different departments, like a project engineering team that helps you design mechanically, electrically, etc.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay. And so just to close off this question, you did mention like the pros,
Yes.
what do you think is like one con of like working in a small company? In a smaller group.
I think the disadvantage could be that sometimes because of sometimes if the organization, especially that the Dutch organizations are super flat or mostly flat, like the small SMEs.
In terms of hierarchy.
In terms of hierarchy, sometimes it can be a bit not. Sometimes it can act a bit against you rather than for you, because you don't have many personnel like managers who can assist you a bit in your personal goals. So it's quite company dependent, but this is something that I've seen in multiple SMEs, that sometimes you are driven towards the company, but then there's a bit of a shift of focus from your personal goals, because you are limited with number of people who work on things.
Yeah, I mean, I can think about it this way, that it's like when there's a hierarchy, there's like a proper mentor-mentee structure. But not having that, I think that can be like a con.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wow, nice answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moving on to the next question. Kashyap, it's focused on you. Very contrasting career choices when compared to Pooja. You are working in a corporate company, a big company. So, how did you end up choosing this career?
Well, I have not planned it out actually. I went with the flow of how life took me. So I finished my master's, and at that time, and even now, the concept of a graduate program is very popular in the Netherlands. So what companies do is every big company has a graduate program where they kind of have young graduates who've just graduated, and they have something like it's like a 2-year program where you are asked to move around the company, understand what you like in the company, and eventually start your permanent spot in the position that you like. So it kind of gives you all. So you're basically doing 3 jobs in 2 years, because it's every rotation is for 6 months each. So you're kind of doing 3 to 3.5 jobs in 2 years, and you have a quick idea of how every team is working and what is the culture in every team. Because in a large company, every team has a different culture.
Yeah. But isn't it very difficult to get into these graduate programs?
A little bit, because I think the amount of applicants are quite high. Every company receives about 800, 900 applicants. But then I think you get only the top 20 go into it. But everywhere it's tough. It's not that graduate program is just the difficult part, but then a normal position is not. So eventually, I think to secure a job in Netherlands, I think this basic funda is you need to talk to the right person at the right moment and the right topic also that can bring out the interest in that person who's hiring you. So if you can do this, I think it's then an easy task to get your job done here.
That's something even I see, like more tries.
Yeah.
Somehow it's like a trial and error.
Yes.
I came here with like this thinking like, oh, I'll find the perfect job. I know what I want to do, but it's not always like that.
Yes,
so I can understand that.
Yeah.
And
so in the graduate program, I basically did something into credit risk, and then I did most of capital management, and then I did something about finance transformation also.
Okay.
So I thought maybe capital management really helped me. I could kind of figure out my interest lies in that area specifically of investments and investment management. And I decided to then start my permanent spot in the same sector of it. So that's how I kind of drove my career here at NN.
So you chose MOT, or let's say, okay, you chose MOT before coming here.
Yeah. So I have a background in electrical engineering where I did it in India. And during my bachelor's, apart from just normal studies, I was a lot into extracurriculars. And then I really liked the management side of things, and I thought a nice idea would be an MBA, but then an MBA would make more sense if you have WorkX. And as a young graduate, I really wanted to get started with my second degree. So I just thought MOT had the right blend where you had to have a technical background to get into the side of management, and which kinds of molds both of it, like a technology and a management. So that's why I chose MOT. Yeah.
But considering your current like role of financial and capital
Yeah. So
management?
yeah, I
Does
think
MOT
it's
help?
MOT does help because there are few courses in MOT that teach you corporate finance and economics.
Okay.
They're very interesting in the MOT curriculum. So they really, so these courses kind of stimulated me into the world of finance. So I would say MOT does help, but then you obviously have to do more things outside the program because these hard industry skills that you need to learn like Power BI or Python or R, MOT in the curriculum maybe it's not a lot that they kind of invest into it, but it's better to have these skills up your game.
Okay.
And then eventually finding your prospects for a job is much more easier. Than, yeah.
Okay.
Since moving to Netherlands, I've really missed Khana Khana. But thanks to our friends Akshay and Yash for bringing authentic, homemade Indian meals right here in Netherlands at affordable prices. Big thanks to FooDo for sponsoring this entire series. Do check their video out.
Hello there. I'm your meal from FooDo. A little piece of homemade goodness just for you. I wasn't just thrown together, you know. I was crafted with care, using the freshest ingredients and authentic recipes passed down through generations. Picture this, tender chicken simmering in a rich masala sauce, fragrant basmati rice steaming beside it, and a side of fresh roti being toasted on the pan. I'm not just a meal, I'm a taste of home. And when you taste me, you're tasting the love and tradition that goes into every bite. Then there's the journey to your doorstep. Packed up fresh and delivered right when you need me, so you can enjoy a delicious homemade meal without the hassle. So, order FooDo, and let me bring the flavors of India into your home.
A question to both of you.
Yeah.
Is the grass greener on the other side in terms of like you wanting to work in a big company or you wanting to work in a small company?
Well, I think it's a very subjective question. People working in a smaller company would aspire to have more structure and organized view of how you said our mentor and mentee things.
Yeah.
And people working in a larger company would want to have someone like in a smaller thing. It's very hard to choose what is more preferred
What would you
way.
choose? Are you happy with the?
I'm happy with what it is, but then eventually I think there is more structure in the corporate world in a bigger company. Tasks are kind of organized in a very structured way, and you know what to do also, and you kind of network with a lot of people. So you moving jobs inside the company is not an hassle because you would eventually know different departments, different people. So yeah, but there are also cons of working in a large company as well. So yeah.
If you ask me, I think for now it's nice to work in SME, but maybe eventually you might want to try out how a corporate setting is. So yeah, I do think that the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, but I really think how much of a value you're creating in your current position can determine what you like or which grass is greener basically. If you're able to create more value in a smaller company, then this is your forte. But if you think in a large company your value is more, where your direct input is you're able to see your output directly in the company's performance or something, then I think that's your line of work. Yeah. So
I think for me it was more like how much of personal freedom I have. That was like one of the reasons why I chose a PhD, thinking that in a job I feel like I wouldn't get so much freedom, but I feel in a smaller company or let's say in a more in a medium-sized enterprise, I think you can get that freedom.
You can implement your freedom pretty fast, like rapidly, without having to go a lot of layers. So that is a good thing if you are somebody who likes that and you are somebody who can navigate your way. Then SMEs are really the way to go, because you can feel that the corporate structure really binds you and it can maybe suffocate you. So it really depends on your personal.
Definitely, that is the takeaway.
Yes,
So the next question, in terms of, because it's been around 5 years of both of you working here in the Netherlands, in terms of finances or like managing your money, was there something specific that you implemented, like savings, investments? What did?
Well, I think Netherlands is itself a very socialist country. So the returns that you get are pretty low when you compare like a capitalist country like India or a growing economy like India, so or the US per se, well, you make enough money to live a very good life with a comfortable lifestyle. But then savings point of it, I would definitely recommend investing in the growing economies rather than the Dutch economy, because there's vast difference in the rate of return between these two economies. And apart from that, I don't think there's more to add on the financial planning.
Okay, like for yourself, you invested more, let's say, in India or the US.
Yeah,
Yes, something more towards the capitalist side, is where you will get your returns more. Maybe not true faster or not. I'm not so sure, but it is where there are more opportunities where you can look into rather than perhaps in the Dutch economy or the Dutch investment part.
But a very common way of how expats here or Dutch kind of invest is buying a house here, because rental prices are way up the market. So buying a house is like an asset here, and the land prices.
Even in India, I remember my parents always telling me that. Oh,
yeah, but in the Netherlands, it's kind of recommended that when you have a +1, or even if you're alone, buying a house actually kinds of saves up a lot of your money, because you don't end up paying that much of a rent when you compare your EMI on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So there is quite some stark differences. Plus the government also supports in terms of tax benefits. If you own a house, and if you're lesser than 35 and you own a house, so your tax benefits are more, and you eventually end up saving more then, yeah.
Okay. And Pooja, a question to you, because I know you had a student loan.
Yeah.
So did that factor into your finances in some way, or like you wanted to pay off the loan more quickly? Or?
Yes, no, of course. So actually, if you are to take a loan in the Netherlands, they would not really consider the loan back in India as a loan. So you are still subjected to the amount that you can get based on your salary. So not per se that way, but of course, as a personal interest, it is nice that I pay back the one loan that I have before taking up something where again my earnings are being divided. So I think it is okay, because most of the time when expats secure a job, in my opinion, you do get above an average salary. So while you're living here, you are also able to pay off your loan. It really depends on where you get the loan, at what interest you got the loan. So it is always nice to pay off one debt, for instance. It's again very personal to say so. But having an expat, assuming that has an above average salary, you are able to pay off the loan rather okayish or rather faster. So with the interest that you have from the loan, I'm not so sure if I can give you a number, but I don't see that as a problem.
Okay.
Yes.
And how many years do you think like such a loan can be paid off?
Well, I've seen people also pay off within 2 years, and I've also seen people take 4 to 4.5 years.
Yeah,
so
4 to 4.5 is what I heard usually.
Yeah.
Yes,
But there are people also who've done it in 2 years. So it's about how smart you are in your finances, and how fast you're able to secure a good job that is paying you well. So.
Yeah, I think it's also a trade-off that you need to have in terms of your standard of living, I guess.
Exactly.
A little bit,
So it's quite dependent on your personal life or your personal way of living, I would say, and of course to a certain degree also the interest that you are that you owe, basically.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the final question, and to close things off, something we're asking all the guests is, if you could both go back in time, do your masters once again, what is that one thing that you would do differently?
I can go first.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
Okay, I would not say that the journey was not so nice for me, because it was a very nice journey that I had at TU Delft. But of course, there are always things to improve in hindsight. So first and foremost, of course, I think I mentioned previously also in one of the Q&As that it's very essential to know Dutch. or
A
any.
common thing that I'm hearing a lot of people saying.
Yeah, I would not say only Dutch, because it can be that you don't want to stay in the Netherlands, but elsewhere. So any European language, like be it Dutch, German, Spanish, I don't know, or French.
Yeah.
It is good to know, because eventually when the market saturates in the Netherlands, you might also start looking for opportunities elsewhere, and at that point you don't know. At that point, Dutch is again not that handy as any other European language. So it's nice to know where your market is also in Europe. Although
Right.
you study in the Netherlands, it's not gonna be sure that you are going to live in the Netherlands. So I would recommend, if not Dutch, then any European language. And then other than that, of course, had I known that the way of giving exams or the structure is a bit quarterly and not semester wise, you would be a bit better prepared for the exams and how you would prepare. Of course, over the course of 2 years, you learn, or over the course of 1 year, you learn how to prepare for exams, but having to know how the structure is, which
Yeah,
is
the
very
transition.
different, yes,
Yeah.
it would have been better,
Yeah,
I would say.
because in India we have a semester
have
system,
Yeah.
mostly a semester system.
Yes.
So I feel, this was way too fast paced.
Yeah.
Yes, so
In
I,
the first exam, I remember I was so nervous.
exactly. So this is something that I would have
Yeah.
changed in my journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Kashyap?
Mine has been a fruitful one. So no really regrets on how the journey went. But what I would do differently was maybe would not have worried so much about things ahead, because
Again, I'm hearing this for the second time.
yeah,
Even the
because-
previous guest also
yeah,
mentioned
because
the same thing.
because as internationals, when you're first entering the country, there's always pressure about the student debt or the student fees that you pay as an international student here. So I think looking back at it, I think I would be less worried about all of this, because the real joy was actually figuring out life at every step. So I think that helped me more to learn, rather than say Dutch or per se or hard skills of learning a software or some specific technical skills. More than that, figuring life out, because that helped me mature in my thinking and embrace maybe new challenges if I have to have one in
So
near
I
future.
think
So that was really helpful.
Yeah, I don't want to generalize, but for a lot of students, this is like a very big personal step also. Moving away from home, moving away
Yeah.
from a very, let's say, a comfort zone, and
Yeah.
you're moving yourself to thousands
true.
of kilometers far
Yes.
country, and you're like also managing studies, you're managing like your cooking, you have
Yeah.
to make sure you do laundry.
No, but yeah,
yeah.
that's what I think. More than your master degree, I think it really prepares you in managing your life independently.
Yeah,
Because you have to fend for yourself here, and you don't have any support per se, like a cook or a cleaner who can come and clean your house. So you have to kind of plan your weekend very well to ensure that everything is in order, and then you have your following week in place with
Yeah.
what you've done in the
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
So it teaches you more ways than what an Indian student life would teach. I'm not keeping anything wrong there, but it's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah. It's just something different. So on that note, thank you so much. It was such an amazing experience for me to like listen to you both and learn so much about
Thank
your
you.
careers
Thank
have
you
been.
for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
this podcast is sponsored by FooDo. Do check the description below. There are links where you can find out and know more about them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope all of you enjoyed the contents of this podcast, and hope to see you in the next episode. Goodbye. Goodbye. So in this episode, we talked about Pooja and Kashyap's life after Delft. We covered a lot of different topics, starting with how the social life in Delft looks like and how they came into a new country and made their friend circle. And then Pooja was telling us about how it is like to work in R&D in a smaller team and the pros and cons of that setting. Contrasting that, Kashyap accounted for his experience of working in the corporate setup in a large organization. Both of them also talked about how they landed those positions and like their future prospects and their future steps in their careers that they're looking forward to. Also, we learned about how they went about starting their financial planning when they started their first jobs. So where they invested or what sort of a path that they took. Pooja also talked briefly about paying back loans, and that you can take a very aggressive or a very relaxed approach about that. Hope you all enjoyed these topics. This podcast was powered by FooDo, and until the next episode, Top Zines.